You already know. It's your favorite bean-eating mofo, fresh off the banana boat. Big Lou, tapping on in with what it do with Big Lou, NFCR2, baby, baby. And I kicked this off a little bit earlier than I scheduled, but I started doing it. I started doing this video this morning. I got about 20 minutes into it, and I was fucking tired, and then I got a phone call and it kicked me off. I don't know what happened there. So there's no way to continue. Not only did it kick me off, because if it kicks you off, like say you have bad reception, it kicks you off, you can still, tap back in. But I don't know what happened. It completely kicked me off. So if this is the first time you're coming to the channel, it'd be highly appreciated if you sub, like, and share the channel with your family, friends, peoples, gente, camaradas, comrades, associates, asocios, amigos, panas, hermanos. And feel free to comment. I respond back to all comments. So Dubs, the come up, said, bro, I met the entire team when I was 10, 12 years old. They flew into town I lived in and wanted to gamble low key. And my grandmother called me down and I got to meet Montana Rice a lot. All of them. Cool. That's what's up. That's tight. That's what's up, man. So as you can see from the thumbnail, it's Joe Montana, right? And who was, in my opinion, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play, right? Obviously, 4 for 4 in Super Bowl games, right? Went on to have a couple good seasons also with the Kansas City Chiefs, and they went to the AFC Championship game, I believe, if I remember correctly. So, and then he was the leader, one of the captains of the team, the leader of the offense, and then we got Ronnie Lott, the leader of the defense, in my opinion. So Joe Montana was born Joseph Clifford Montana Jr. on July 11, 1956. As we know, he's an American football player that played in the NFL for 16 seasons, primarily with the 49ers, nicknamed Joe Cool and Comeback Kid. Montana is regarded as one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play, which I agree with. Some put, for the longest, he was considered number 1. Tom Brady was number 2, but now because Tom Brady has so many wins in the Super Bowl, they put him over. You know what I mean? That could be for debate because Joe Montana is still perfect. 4 for 4, right? He's never lost a Super Bowl. He also won a national championship at Notre Dame. And then he started his career with the 49ers in 1979, where he played the next 14 seasons, and he was drafted like 33rd round, I think 86 pick overall. So he wore number 16 with the Niners and number 19 with the Chiefs. He was born in New Eagle, Pennsylvania. He's 6'2", about 205 pounds. He went to Ringgold High School, and he went to the Notre Dame from 74 to 78. And then he was drafted, like I said, 3rd round, 82nd pick overall, the 79 draft. He played for the Niners from 1979 and 92. And he played with the Chiefs 1993, 1994. He's a 4-time Super Bowl champion. He's a 3-time Super Bowl MVP. He's a 2-time NFL Most Valuable Player, 1989, 1990. He's an NFL Offensive Player of the Year, 1989. He's an NFL Comeback Player of the Year, 1986. 3-time First-Team All-Pro, 87, 89, and 90. 2-time Second-Team All-Pro, 81 and 84. 8-time Pro Bowl, 81, 83, 84, 85, 87, 89, 90, and 93. 2-time NFL Passing Touchdowns Leader, 82 and 87. 2-time NFL Passing Rating Leader, 87, 89. 5-time NFL Completion Percentage Leader, 1980, 81, 85, 87, 89. He's a member of the NFL 1980s All-Decade Team. He's also a member of the 75th Anniversary All-Time Team and the 100th All-Time Team. He's in the San Francisco 49ers Hall of Fame. His jersey's retired by the 49ers, number 16. He won the Burt Bell Award in 1989. He's a 2-time George Hollis Award winner, 88 and 94. Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year, 1990. He's a two-time AP Athlete of the Year, 89 and 90. And like I mentioned earlier, he won a national championship at the University of Notre Dame in 1977. Here's some of his career NFL stats. 192 games he played in. He started 164 of those games. He has 5,391 pass attempts, with 3,409 being completed, for a percentage of 63%. He has a career 273 touchdowns and 139 interceptions. He has 40,551 passing yards, and he has a passer rating of 92.3. He's also a member of the NFL Hall of Fame. Right? Among his career highlights is the catch, the game-winning touchdown pass to Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone versus the Cowboys in the '81 NFC Championship game, and a Super Bowl-winning 92-yard drive against the Cincinnati Bengals. All staples of NFL highlight films, right? Some of his early life, right? He was born to his father, Joseph Clifford Montana Sr., and his mother, Teresa Marie Babuso, in New Ingle, Pennsylvania, which is a borough of Washington County located in the western portion of the state. He grew up in the city of Monongahela, a coal mining town 25 miles south of Pittsburgh, right? So Joe Montana's family was Italian American, and the surname Montana was Americanized from the surname Montani, which comes from northern Italy. He played basketball, baseball, and football, and he passed up on scholarships. I think it was North Carolina State. I believe it was North Carolina State, and they were going to allow him to play basketball and football. He had North Carolina State, but he ended up going with Notre Dame, right? Going with Notre Dame. And like I said, he started football career with the 49ers in 1979. He appeared in all 16 regular season games during the 79 season. He only threw 23 passes, though. He spent most of the season as the backup on the 49ers depth chart behind starter Steve DeBerg. And if anybody knows anything about Steve DeBerg, this happened to Steve DeBerg numerous times, where they drafted a young quarterback, and then that young quarterback ended up taking that starting position. It happened first with the Niners, and then I believe it also happened with Tampa Bay with Vinny Testaverde, and then I think it happened with Bernie Kosar as well. But eventually, Steve DeBerg ended up playing for Kansas City before Montana came over there, and he had some good seasons there with the Kansas City Chiefs. December 7, 1980 is when 49ers hosted the winless New Orleans Saints. The Saints took a 35-7 lead at halftime. At the start of the fourth quarter, New Orleans still led by a score of 35-21 when San Francisco tied the game by the end of the regulation play in overtime. Ray Warshin kicked a 35-yard field goal to give the Niners the lead. This marked the first fourth quarter comeback victory in Montana's NFL career. During the 16 seasons in the NFL, this happened a total of 31 times with Montana at the quarterback, 26 of them coming as a 49er. That's why he gets the name the comeback kid, right? Like I mentioned earlier, the catch was a famous catch where he found Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone for a touchdown to take the lead of the Dallas Cowboys, and then they end up going on to win the Super Bowl, right? They end up going to beat they end up going into the Super Bowl that season to play the Cincinnati Bengals for the first time. They played the Bengals twice. They played the Broncos, and they played the Dolphins. Those are his 4 wins for his 4 Super Bowl wins. And then 95, Steve Young was at the helm, and they beat the San Diego Chargers for their 5th Super Bowl title. And then they got 2 losses later on. So he completed 14 of 22 passes for 157 yards, 1 touchdown pass, and 1 rushing TD against the Bengals. Niners won the game 26-21, and in recognition of his performance, Montana won the Super Bowl MVP, his first of 3, right? To be the second youngest quarterback to win the Super Bowl after Joe Namath. They almost they almost traded him away to the Baltimore Colts for the rights to a first-round over pick in '83 draft. Would have been the rights to the Stafford quarterback, John Elway. But they decided later against it, and they kept Montana, obviously, right? Ended up beating Washington in the NFC Championship game. And as he's done before, Redskins were up 21-0 at the start of fourth quarter, but Montana helped lead the Niners back, aided by 3 fourth quarter touchdown passes by Montana. 49ers tied the game at 21. And then they ended up losing, though. 84, they faced the Dolphins 38-16, and he earned his second Super Bowl MVP. 86, he suffered a severe back injury, and he was out most of the season. 87, he bounced back pretty tough with 31 touchdown passes, a career high in just 13 games. Montana crossed the picket line during the NFLPA strike and threw 5 touchdown passes against replacement players. In 87, he also set the NFL record for most consecutive pass attempts without an incomplete pass, 22. Passed for 3,054 yards and had a passing rating of 102.1. Though the 49ers finished with the best record in the NFL, they lost in the divisional round of the playoffs to the Minnesota Vikings. Prior to the 87 season, Bill Walsh completed a trade for Steve Young and quarterback with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Young went on to appear in 8 regular season games for the team and finished the year with a passing rate of 120.8. But his performance was strong in 87. By the time 88 season began, a controversy was in place to who should get more playing time at quarterback. Young appeared in 11 games that year, and rumors surfaced claiming Montana might be traded. But he wasn't. And they earned another trip to the Super Bowl, first beating the Vikings and the Bears in the playoffs, the NFC divisional playoffs. Niners faced Minnesota, who had eliminated them from the playoffs the year before. Montana threw 3 first-half touchdowns as the Niners won 34-9. The victory over the Bears in the NFC Championship game was a particular note. Played at Soldier Field in 17-degree weather, strong wind, and Cool Joe still passed for 288 yards, 3 TDs. His first touchdown pass came on a third down play. And the Niners won 28-3 to advance the Super Bowl. And that's they faced Cincinnati Bengals for the second time, which they were down. And he had one of his, at the time, was a record. He passed for 357 yards and 2 TDs. You know, despite it being a great performance, they found themselves down 16-13 with only 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the game, with the ball on the 8-yard line. Montana calmly drove the ball down and ended up finding he completed like 8 of 10 passes for almost the 92 yards, obviously throwing the game-winning TD to John Taylor with only 30 seconds left. That put him up 20-16. And then he had some more good seasons of 14-2, 13-3 season records. And then eventually he moved on to he missed the whole entire 91 season with an elbow injury that was sustained in the 91 preseason. A 91 preseason, but he missed the entire 91 season in 92 with the elbow injury. Monday Night Football matchup against the Lions, he stepped in and played the entire second half despite missing nearly 2 full seasons. Montana proved to be very effective, sealing the victory with insurance points. By this time, however, Young had established himself as a starter and took over for the playoffs. Though it was not known at the time, Montana would not see another snap in a 49er uniform. He suited up for the final time as a Niner in the team's NFC Championship showdown with the Dallas Cowboys, though as third-string quarterback behind Young and Steve Bono. And then he went to the the Chiefs. That was more in the 90s. So this is about the 80s. You know what I'm saying? This is about the 80s. So we'll stay away from that, right? But now Ronnie Lott is Ronnie Lott was born Ronald Mandel Lott, born May 8th, 1959. As we know, American football, played in the National Football League, was a corner and then later a safety, played 14 seasons in the NFL, number 42. Born in Albuquerque, New Mexico, 6 foot, 203 pounds. He went to Eisenhower, Rialto, California High School. He went to USC. He was drafted first round, 8th pick overall in 1981. Also in that draft was Howie Long and Lawrence Taylor selected as well. He played for the Niners from 81 to 90, the Raiders from 91 to 92, the New York Jets 93, 94, the Kansas City Chiefs 95, and then he signed back with the Niners in 95, where he retired off season, he was a practice member. He's a 4-time Super Bowl champion, 8-time first team All-Pro, 81, 83, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91. 10-time Pro Bowler, 1981, 2, 83, 84, 85, 84, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, and 91. He's a 2-time NFL interceptions leader in 1986, 1991. He's an NFL forced fumbles co-leader in 82. He's the PFWA All-Rookie Team in 81. He's the NFL 1980s All-Decade Team and NFL 1990s All-Decade Team. He's a member of the 75th Anniversary All-Time Team and the 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. He's in the 49ers Hall of Fame, and his number 42 is retired by the 49ers. He's a national champion in 1978, consensus All-American 1980. He holds the NFL record for most interceptions returned for touchdown in a season by a rookie, 3, 1981, tied with Len Barney and Janoris Jenkins. Some of his career stats are 1,146 tackles, 63 interceptions, 730 yards returned on interceptions, 16 forced fumbles, 17 fumble recoveries, and 5 touchdowns. He's also a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the College Football Hall of Fame. All right. He played football for the University of Southern California, which, as we know, as USC. Was honored as a consensus All-American, a first-round pick in 81 NFL draft. He played for the Niners. He was elected in Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2000 and widely considered to be one of the best all-time at safety position in NFL history and one of the best players in NFL history. So he was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. His father served a career in the United States Air Force, retiring as a senior master sergeant, right? He now lives in Cupertino, California, which is in the Bay Area near San Jose, same county as San Jose County, which is Santa Clara County, with his wife and his children. USA Today praised him as one of the most successful athletes at making a transition to business, along with former teammates Harrison Barton and Joe Montana. Ronnie Lott was a managing partner and a founder of HRJ Capital. Lone owns both Toyota and Mercedes-Benz car dealerships. He advises professional athletes who are making a transition to business world. Lott is also the father of former Tampa Bay Buccaneers linebacker Ryan Neese. Lott's nephew Jacoby played offensive line at Kansas before transferring to West Texas A&M. Okay. So, like I mentioned, he was drafted in the first round, 8th pick overall in the 81 draft by the Niners. The level of skill demonstrated by the 6 foot, 200-pound standout was instantly recognized, and from the very beginning of training camp, he had the job at the Niners starting left corner. In his rookie season in 81, he recorded 7 interceptions, helped the Niners win a Super Bowl, and also became only the second rookie in NFL history to return 3 interceptions for touchdowns. His outstanding play resulted in finishing second for the Rookie of the Year honors behind New York Giants linebacker and all-time pass rusher, great LT Lawrence Taylor. Lott switched to safety position 85. He had the tip of his left pinky finger amputated after the 85 season when it was crushed while tackling running back Timothy Newsom, and a bone graft surgery would not have allowed him to start the 86 season. An injury sideline for the season's last two games in 86, but he still led the league with a career best 10 interceptions, recording 77 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, and 2 quarterback sacks. In his 10 years with the Niners, Lott helped them win 8 division titles, 4 Super Bowls. And he is one of 5 players that were on all 4 80s 49ers Super Bowl wins. The other 4 are quarterback Joe Montana, linebacker Keena Turner, cornerback Eric Wright, and wide receiver Mike Wilson. So Keena Turner, I see him often. He owns some businesses in town where I live, and I also been at a club with Eric Wright. After his career with the Niners, Lott signed as a free agent in 91 with the LA Raiders and in 93 with the New York Jets. In 91, he led league in interceptions with 8 for the second time. Lott signed a free agent deal with Kansas City in 95, but was injured in the preseason. He returned to San Francisco in 95, but injuries had suffered over the previous 4 seasons continued to plague him, and he announced his retirement before the season began. He was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2000, his first year of eligibility. In his 14 NFL seasons, Lott recorded 8.5 sacks, 63 interceptions, which he returned for 730 yards and 5 TDs. He recovered 17 fumbles, returned them for 43 yards, and gained 113 yards on kickoff returns. Lott also played in 20 postseason games, recording 9 interceptions, 89 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 2 touchdowns. Additionally, he was named All-Pro 8 times, All-NFC 6 times, All-AFC once. Beyond statistics, Lott had an uncanny awareness of how a play was developing, which allowed him to break up passes and earn a reputation as one of the hardest and most efficient open field tacklers in the history of the league. That is true. And that's just a little bit about these 2 guys that were key pieces to the 49ers' success of the 1980s. That's why the 49ers are the team of the decade of the 80s. They have 4 Super Bowls in 10 seasons. Can't get better than that. And again, that's why they were the team of the decade from the 1980s, San Francisco 49ers. So some of the other players from those teams, like they said, it was only Keena Turner, Joe Montana, Ronnie Lott, and Eric Wright that were members of all 4 Super Bowl teams. But you also have guys like Roger Craig, Tom Rathman, John Taylor, Jesse Sapola, you had Steve Young won some Super Bowls with them. I think Steve Young has 2 Super Bowls, maybe 3. Ricky Waters, Deion Sanders, Gary Plummer was there for a little bit, Ken Norton Jr., Ricky Jackson. These guys were on the 95 team, right? The 95 Super Bowl team. Most of all those guys. What was his name? Bubba Paris was there. So they were definitely, back then, I remember in the 80s, it was a competitive. They were always competitive with the Vikings, with the Saints. They're always competitive with the Vikings, the Saints, the Giants, New York Giants, the Minnesota Vikings, and the New Orleans Saints. That's who I remember them always battling with back in the 80s. They were always battling out. Sometimes the Giants would knock them out. They'd knock the Giants out. The Saints would knock them out. The Rams sometimes would be competitive with them. Vikings would knock them out. But those are the main teams I remember them battling with in the 80s. And then, too, the Cowboys. They always had that rivalry with the Cowboys, even though they're from different divisions. And this is when football was football. You know what I mean? Before all these soft plays. I understand guys get injured and have, ultimate injuries over the years, brain injuries and such. But this is when football was football, right? Ronnie Lott was one of the hardest hitting DBs there was at that time. Also, Joey Browner from the Vikings was a hard hitting dude. but they were definitely elite, in their time. A little later, Steve Atwater, Mark Carrier of the Bears, Steve Atwater of the Broncos, one of the Blades brothers from the Lions. They were like late 80s, these guys. But this is just a little preview on the 49ers uh, duel of Joe Montana, Joe Cool, a.k.a. the Comeback Kid, and Ronnie Lott. Two beasts at their position, no doubt about it. Definitely two greats. I think Ronnie Lott's the greatest free safety ever, and I think Joe Montana's in the top 3 quarterbacks ever. I have him number 1, but a lot of people have Brady over him, Peyton Manning. You know what I'm saying? But one thing they can't take from Cool Joe is 4 for 4 Super Bowl games. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But I appreciate Dub to coming in and commenting, and I appreciate each and every one that comes back and watches this video after it's uploaded. With that being said, Big Lou is gonna tap on out. What it do with Big Lou, NFCR2. Gracias. Thanks.